was that HMK doing a Sonic the Hedgehog video? Well, I mean, I do those like every now and again, but let me tell you how excited I am for Sonic the Movie 3. For a number of things, including that the Sonic movie 1 and 2 are actually really, really good. But mainly, well, not mainly, mostly, collectively, for the fact that Shadow the Hedgehog is going to be one of the main characters of the movie. And like you kind of can tell Giganto, Shadow fan. Shadow is honestly my favorite Sonic the Hedgehog character. And I just wanted to talk about Sonic the Movie 3 a little bit in terms of my ideas of what can go down, because we still don't know a lot about the movie, including who's gonna voice Shadow, which I'll be talking about like in this video, because I talk about this like relatively often on streams, and you should definitely check it out. But Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and if I end up calling this movie Shadow the Hedgehog, like, forgive me. All right, you just gotta forgive me, right? Sonic movie 1 and 2, and then I'm excited for Knuckles, and I got theories about that and whatnot. Like, it was such a pleasant surprise considering how, the folly of video game movies and the folly of how Sonic could be adapted after what we saw with Ugly Sonic and whatnot. And also the fact that the crew involved in terms of making the movie, not the people like the actors or anything. I had full belief in the actors, but this was the director's Jeff Fowler, his first ever like main director project, and the writers have been known to write things that I'm like, okay, you're gonna be writing a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. But after I saw Sonic 1 and then Sonic 2, I was omega pleasantly, like gratefully surprised. So I have all the faith for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the movie, Shadow the Hedgehog, that adaptation. I am ready for it, right? But who is going to voice Shadow? Of course, there are a lot of rumors and fan casts and whatnot. There's people saying Robert Pattinson, and if you're like, oh, Edward from Twilight, no, Robert Pattinson is an amazing actor if you see his other stuff, and an amazing voice actor. I mean, he plays the Heron in Boy and the Heron. If you guys didn't know, if you guys didn't watch the English stuff, amazing movie, right? So Robert Pattinson would be a really good choice, and then Antonio Banderas, like, oh, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, I can hear the Shadow gruff. And then also people saying Keanu Reeves, and then lately, very lately, Hayden Christensen as Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm like, I'm down with it. I am 100% down with it. Please give that man a shot, right? But when it comes to how the movie can be tackled in terms of the story of adapting Sonic Adventure 2, because obviously they're going to be mainly focusing on Sonic Adventure 2, but I mean, if they want to take elements from Shadow the Hedgehog with Black Doom and all, like small elements, because we're definitely going to see backstory to Shadow the Hedgehog, if they're going to go into the whole notion of Gerald Robotnik contacting Black Doom, using his blood in order to help create Shadow, and then Shadow was made in order to find a cure to address Maria's NIDS, neuroimmune deficiency syndrome, and all that good jazz. And of course, if my theories are correct when it comes to how they could adapt Chaos Drives into this movie, thanks to what we've been seeing with Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and then setting up with Knuckles, because the whole idea of Sonic, Knuckles, and Shadow being embodiments of chaos that is able to utilize chaos energy derived somehow from the emeralds and the master emeralds, and that their energy could be found in their quills, and their quills have been used in vials in order to power machinery that's created by Dr. Robotnik, and in Knuckles, like Robotnik's lackeys that like, oh, where's Robotnik? Like, let's use Knuckle threads, quills in order to power our machinery, and those could be how they interpret Chaos Drives in the movies and whatnot. And that, oh, where did they figure that out? Because Gerald Robotnik was doing that with Shadow 50 years ago when trying to figure out a cure for Maria, which is kind of going in line with Gerald Robotnik creating Chaos Drives in the Sonic lore because of his research on Shadow. Do all of that, right? And then Shadow the Hedgehog, I don't think Shadow the Hedgehog is going to be the main villain of Sonic the Movie 3. He's going to be like more likely the first antagonist, like at odds with Sonic, beating up Sonic, fighting over Sonic. But then Dr. Robotnik, Jim Carrey, he's back. And more than likely, this is what I think, is that he's gonna find Shadow, like, you know, buddy up with Shadow, but not in the way with Knuckles, because Knuckles is a bit, you know, he was very easy to fool, but Shadow, definitely not Shadow. But using from what he knows with Shadow, Knuckles, and Sonic helps create, like, using their data from that is derived from Sonic Movie 1, 2, and Knuckles, and Sonic Movie 3, creates Metal Sonic, right? And Metal Sonic is probably going to be the main end-all, be-all bad guy. People are like, but the Bile Lizard! I'm like, yeah, Bile Lizard! And I'm just like, come on. Like, try to imagine, like, from the outside looking in, Sonic fans of all types, they see Sonic, Sonic! They see Shadow, Shadow! They see Knuckles, Knuckles! They see Tails, Tails! They see Metal Sonic, Metal Sonic! But then, like, you know, like, this is not to say that, like, oh, not everybody plays Sonic Adventure 2, because I'm pretty sure they did. But, like, Bile Lizard, like, main enemy for the film, Bile Lizard, right? It's gonna probably be like a Mecha Godzilla type deal. It's like, oh, Sonic and Shadow team together in order to defeat Metal Sonic. And then going off that line of thinking when it comes to the theorization of who else could be in the movie, is that with Metal Sonic, I feel Amy should also be in the movie. And it's like, oh, where'd you get that deal? Well, because Amy, as Rosie the Rascal, debuted in the Sonic series alongside Metal Sonic in Sonic CD, right? So, like, that would be like a good way to, like, okay, if we're gonna do Metal, we're gonna do Amy, and then Amy could act as a foil in order to help assist the heroes in understanding each other, as she did in Sonic Adventure 2, because she is the one who, like, you know, helped Shadow realize Maria's true wish in protecting the planet. And I wouldn't want that role to be, you know, subsidized to somebody else. You know, they might, I don't know, but, like, I would rather have Amy. Like, come on, like we got Knuckles and Tails in Sonic 2, and now we're getting Shadow. Like, throwing Knuckles, not throwing Knuckles, throwing Amy, Metal Sonic, and also Rouge the Bat. Throw in Rouge the Bat, because here's my perspective on the idea. It's like, oh, you want to see Rouge the Bat because, like, oh yeah, Rouge, she's sexy, she's smooth, I'm feeling her in mysterious ways. You know the song. No, the reason why I feel like Rouge should be in the movie is that other than Shadow's communication with Dr. Robotnik, Dr. Eggman, I feel it's going to be very sporadic enough that there's not going to be enough banter between those two characters that we've seen in the games that could translate organically in the movie. But when it comes to Shadow and Rouge, there's a lot of times within the Sonic series, when it comes to Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic 06, all that stuff, that Rouge acts as a good mouthpiece intermediary between that of Shadow and, like, everybody else, right? Because Rouge understands Shadow the most, and that they, you know, get that relationship going. They are able to, like, converse, talk, and then, like, Rouge is able to understand Shadow a bit more. She's the one who's probably going to figure out that it's like, oh, he's, you know, who's the real ultimate life form, the prototype, the biologist, which probably is going to end up showing up in the movie anyways, and then could act as, you know, she is a GUN agent, act as a liaison between the GUN and Shadow, and then the GUN and Robotnik, and then, like, oh, it could be her machinations that help Robotnik get the final piece he needs in order to create Metal Sonic, and then, like, the team comes together, and Rouge feels bad, and the Shadow's like, it's cool, and blah, 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 blah. So that's why I want Rouge to be in the movie, to act as the perfect companion foil to Shadow in relation to the other characters, right? So that's what I'm feeling and whatnot. And then I'm like, okay, so Sonic Movie 3, we still don't know none about it. It's like, all right, Shadow, Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Robotnik, Metal Sonic, Amy, Rouge. And then people are like, oh, what about Omega? And I'm like, I mean, it's like, oh, what about Beta? I'm like, I mean, like, more like, because Robotnik after Sonic 1, it's like Robotnik made robots in Sonic 1, had robots in Sonic 1, and then in Sonic 2, when he started using Chaos Energy from the Master Emerald, was able to make more Robotnik-like robots, right? Badniks. And in Knuckles, as is shown that, like, okay, now people are getting the ideas, like, okay, we can build stuff. Like when Eggman's like, oh, welcome to the new norm, right? And Sonic 2, and he meant it, because now we're seeing in Knuckles, and I feel that Knuckles will be a good way to, you know, talk about and circumvent all that. But I just really, really, really want to gush on Sonic the movie 3 and the possibilities at hand and whatnot. But I want to know what you guys think. What can go down with Sonic the movie 3, especially when it comes to Shadow and other possible characters that can make an appearance. I cannot wait for a trailer. Give it to me now. So until the next video, this has been your boy HMK, and I'll check you guys later.